Hi, everyone. Resetting this. We're just getting things in order. Hope you're all well. We should be live, and everyone should be able to listen and hear us now. Can you just give us a quick thumb up in the chat if everything's okay on your side? Hi from freezing Paris here. Feel free to tell us where you're logging in from. Always keen to hear from our audience and see where you're connecting from. So please give us a quick thumb up. Just checking everything is cool, and then we'll dive right into it. Looks like we are all set. So good to hear. Hi again. We are about to kick off this presentation. We like to kick things off with a quick poll. We'd like to test your general mood today. So we just posted something in the chat for you to give us your overall feeling around your current vibe in your CS team right now. So feel free to respond to this very quick poll. Like hit A if you feel really good, B if you're like in a so-so mood, C if you think your TTA is still too long, and D if you think that the last few weeks have been really tricky and you feel like you really need a holiday.
Okay. In the meantime, maybe let's introduce ourselves, Seb, and explain why we're here today. What's the CS Nation survey we're gonna talking about?
Cool.
So I'm Ben. I'm CEO of Melting Spot and co-founder.
And I'm Seb, co-founder and chief operations officer at Melting Spot. So
what's this survey, Seb?
Yeah. Let's get right into it. So as you know, we started this survey a few months back. We really wanted to poll our fellow customer success professionals globally around the world and see what was happening in the CS world. The reason behind this is that the customer success ecosystem has been changing dramatically over the last few months. We know we've been through a pretty hard the economic outlook's been pretty tough over the last few months, and there's been a lot of pressure on customer acquisition, but also customer retention. And all the retention and more generally customer success topics have come to the fore, which is why we really wanted to issue this survey and see where the market was heading. And so today you're going to hear from responses from over 2,000 customer success professionals globally. So I think it's fair to say that we have one of the meatiest research out there on the topic of digital customer success. So we're excited to share these results with you. You're part of Customer Success Nation, which is this unique place you logged into to listen up today, to tune into this presentation. As part of this Customer Success Nation group, we have regular webinars, masterclasses, lots of insightful content. There's also an opportunity for you guys to connect with each other. Once you leave this presentation, you have an opportunity to network, connect with other customer success pros, ask questions in the forum. Feel free to play around and use this space as a place to learn and connect with other customer success pros.
Please, during the webinar, ask all your burning questions in the chat section. We're here to answer pretty much every question you can have. Please also feel free to share best practices or advice you would like to share with your peers. It's really the moment and the place to do so. Let's start maybe with the presentation, Seb. So who actually answered the survey?
Cool. Can you move to the next slide? Awesome. There we are. Great. And then we'll hear from the intro poll. Arthur is going to publish the results in the chat to see how you guys are feeling. But first off, let's hear from respondent profiles. Essentially, we've had, as I said earlier, over 2,000 responses over the course of the last 6 months. And we have a majority of customer success pros. Like about a third of respondents were actually heading a customer success department. The majority of respondents were actually in a CSM role, so they're in the eye of the cyclone. They know pretty much everything that's happening, and they share their perspectives on the day-to-day operations of customer success. we have also an emerging population of customer education managers. It's not a very known title here in Europe, but it's been emerging over the last few months in the United States, and we're going to talk about this in a moment. And we have a few C-levels that have responded to this survey as well. So a good balance, mostly focusing on CS pros. In terms of industry, we have a strong focus on a very strong focus on B2B SaaS, probably because this survey appealed more to B2B SaaS pros, but we also have a pretty significant number of people working in professional services, and that's important because we hear a lot from customer success in the SaaS world, but there are customer-facing specialists, account managers that actually do customer success day in and day out in professional services businesses as well. So it's worth mentioning these people. In terms of size, and that's also super interesting, almost 40% of respondents were working for companies with staff ranging from 11 to 100, which we believe is the tipping point where it becomes obvious that you need to scale your customer success practices. You can't just do one-on-one super high touch customer success. You have to scale, and that's where we believe that digital customer success actually kicks in. So that's this. In terms of geography, we have a pretty good balance across Americas, Europe, and APAC. So this is fair to say that this survey is pretty representative of global trends in CS. Any questions so far? Feel free to jump in, ask any questions you have in the chat. Let's now dive into the first elements of benchmarks, Ben.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about your organizations in terms of customer success. Since we started this survey in June 2023 again, we can see the average number of CSM tends to decrease a little bit. And in the meantime, the number of paying customers you're managing or managed by each and every single customer success is growing. So we are here facing an efficiency topic. I guess customer success teams across the planet are asked to be more efficient, and as you will see, this results in a growing demand in terms of tools, processes. So all the teams across the globe are trying to scale customer success. Okay, so as you can see, the numbers are the change in the numbers is pretty significant. In the middle column, you can see the total CS team size. So, for example, if you're a company between 11 and 100 employees, CS team size would be approximately 5 CS managers, customer education managers. And the CSM staff or full-time employee will be between 3 and 4. So 3 is the number as of December 2023, and 4 was the number in September this year. So each time you see a comparison, as here, it's a comparison between today's figure and September's figures, September's being the last time we've updated this survey. Okay, so between September and December, there is a significant change in the numbers of CSM in the teams, meaning that clearly there is a search for efficiency and productivity in the CS teams across all the company size.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. Just a quick focus on the poll that we started at the very beginning of this session. A third of you guys feel really good, which is good. Well done. And like half of you guys think that they're in a so-so mood and their churn is too high and their TTA is too high as well. None of you guys feel actually exhausted, in need for an end of year break. So kudos for that. And let's now dive into the topic of customer education. So as I mentioned earlier, we've had a few customer education managers respond to this survey, but not that many. And yet this function is growing and gaining a lot of attention globally, mostly in the US, but not just so. So like 45% of respondents already have a customer education function in their company, and 16% are actually planning to start one. So the vast majority of SaaS businesses are considering customer education as a standalone function in the company, which should probably sit under CS. There might be a bias here because we're talking to CS pros, but yeah, majority of you guys think that this function should sit within customer success. So we think it makes a lot of sense because in our view, education is a must-have if you want to do effective customer success at scale.
I think it's poll time again, and Arthur in our team is the one pushing the polls, so you should see a poll in the chat asking if you change your mind regarding this customer education function and how much this function could help or should help scaling customer success.
Cool.
Please do not hesitate to answer.
I'm going to take Tom and Karen's questions very quickly. Tom's asking if, based on our benchmarks, we think that CSMs are faced with a do more with less challenge. Well, it's hard to say if this growing number of this decreasing number of CSMs in B2B SaaS is a cause or a consequence for the current economic outlook. Either way, we like CSMs will have to do more with less, so they have to be more efficient. That's what it is, and so finding the right tools and processes is certainly the best way to go about doing this. And Karen is asking how we define customer education and if there's an overlap between education and internal company education. Well, customer education really is all about getting your customers familiar with your market first, so your market environment, but your product as well. And so obviously there's a lot of benefit in sharing this knowledge internally within your own company, but it's mostly focused on like helping customers on board, reach time to activation faster, and drive more revenue for your company.
Right.
Cool.
Let's now see how customer success is gaining or losing attention. The last time we updated the survey, we saw that customer success was gaining attention for 65% of the teams. It's a little bit less as of today, because only, if I can say so, 61% of the respondents consider that customer success is gaining attention in their company, which is still a very high score. So clearly customer success is a hot topic for all the companies, and in particular the B2B SaaS companies. But it's a little bit less than the figure we had in September 2023. Regarding the budget, because it's always interesting to compare attention and budget, here again, budget is under pressure for 32% of the people who answered the survey, of the CS teams who answered the survey, which is a bit higher than the figure we had in September. Again, so budget is more under pressure than it was before, slightly. So basically here again, we can see that it's important for CS pros to build more customer success or more customer relationships with less resources. This is really the question we all have to answer: how to build better and more customer relationships with less resources. It's clearly the case in Europe, for example, where the budget pressure is increasing, 30% as of today compared to 26% in September. Whereas in America, it's pretty flat. So 37% of the respondents were considering budget was under pressure, and it's still the same 3 months later. So basically, no big change in Americas, but it's 30% of the CS teams who have to work under budget pressure at the moment.
Great. Feel free again to ask any questions as Tom and Carsten just did. More than happy to answer them on the fly. Let's focus on the priorities that you've called out in the survey. Globally, it's fair to say that these priorities haven't changed much in the last 6 months, so very consistent responses there. And a lot of focus on tools and processes. And that really calls to the do more with less dilemma that most companies are facing. And training and upskilling of CSMs comes third. If we look at job titles, CEO and CEOs, like C-levels are pretty focused on increasing self-service resources. I think that's probably because they know it's the best way to achieve efficiency in the customer education space, like letting your customers educate themselves. So that probably calls for forums, on-demand resource libraries, webinars. So we'll touch on this in a moment. And the customer success and heads off are like more focused on tools and processes.
No big difference in terms of region.
Yeah.
At least Europe and Americas are basically willing to implement best-in-class tools. That's the top priorities in these two regions. Whereas in Asia Pacific, where the respondents were working in bigger companies with 500, 1,000 employees on average, in those larger corps, there seems to be a different priority, which is to maintain up-to-date CS processes, probably due to the size as well of the CS teams in these larger companies.
Cool. We're going to dive into the customer success toolbox. We've asked you guys to list out the customer success activities that you were performing and the tools that you were using. So specifically focusing on tools here. What we found is that on average, your satisfaction score sits at 6.2, out of 10. So it's not a very big number. We think that it means you find your current toolbox somewhat underwhelming. And an observation is that your number 2 communication channels are traditional channels, namely email communication and phone support. And what we know is that B2B pros actually tend to favor other channels. They don't want to be approached in their inbox. So there's clearly a misalignment between channels used by customer success pros and the channels that customers are happy to be contacted on. And what we're seeing as well is that email remains number 1, where we know that 70% of SaaS customers actually want to take control of their education experience. So they want to do more self-serving. And so they don't want to be imposed like email sequences and mass email communication. So this is super interesting, and there's a lot of opportunity in these numbers to more efficiently meet our customers' expectations. Also, an interesting number, we're seeing the number of respondents using a customer community or an academy, which is probably the most advanced channel to do customer activation, customer education. We're seeing these numbers grow over time. It went from 30% to 32% between September and now, and we're on December the 19th, which means that this channel is increasingly used and probably matching customer expectations more. So we're going to focus on this a lot. And the US, unsurprisingly enough, are pretty ahead of the curve in terms of how they use this kind of tools, kind of innovative tools. Let's just poll our audience here. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'd be curious to hear more from you guys. Are you happy with emails and phone support? And let's come back to answers in a few minutes.
All right, let's talk about your preferred activation channels now. What are the most used digital activation strategies amongst the CS teams across the planet? Well, live product demos are still ahead, with 59% of the respondents using this type of activation to build relationships and success strategies. Webinars, which are partly live product demos, are ahead as well, so 59%. What is interesting here is to see that the e-learning modules are decreasing a bit. Why is that? Probably because it's what we can see is that this activation, this type of strategy is usually used by large corporations again. So companies with more than 1,000 employees. 55% of those companies are using e-learning modules. So let's see in the future whether small and mid-sized companies are going to adopt this activation as well, just the way large corps have done in the past, or are they going to switch to other types of activation? That's something we will clearly investigate in the next survey release, probably sometime in March or April next year.
Another great question from Karen in the chat. Thanks, Karen, for contributing. And you're actually bringing up a super interesting topic, essentially asking about the synergies and coordination required between the CS team and the product team, and probably more specifically the product marketing team. Often the PM team is out there doing their thing without input from or coordination with customer success. There's always a lot of friction between product and customer success. And like product is sort of following their own roadmap, trying to like getting the next priorities in order, and they don't want to be like interrupted with customer success requests. But what we found super interesting is when the product team actually runs like regular product demos to the customer base. This way, they hear firsthand from customers on what's expected, the gaps that that customers are finding in the product suite. And so we think that like getting the product team out there in front of customers can be really insightful, and we highly encourage you guys to do this. And we do this on a bi-monthly basis. So we run regular, what we call product spotlight sessions, where we showcase a new feature presentation. And this presentation is actually hosted by our product team. So and we found this really insightful. Hope that helps, Karen. In terms of how
what the challenges are for customer success managers.
Key challenges out there. Unsurprisingly enough, 2023 has been the year of retention, with a very, very strong focus on reducing churn. Probably because acquisition channels were under pressure, and sort of securing ARR and revenues involved reducing churn and improving retention. So it's a super hot topic right now in CS teams, more so than activation and onboarding, which come second and third. Also interesting to note that reducing support calls has been somewhat losing attention lately. It's still pretty valid in terms of challenges. CS want to do more success and less care and support. They want to add more value, which I think is a direct driver of adoption and retention. And so yeah, a good mix of reducing churn and improving, reducing time to activation, time to value, and improving onboarding across the board. Let's maybe share results from the previous poll if they're available already.
I guess Alper would be in charge of that.
Yeah. So It's quite surprising, actually. 43% of you guys are still happy with email and phone support, and 57% think that doesn't do the trick. I think what this is saying here is that picking up the phone and actually talking to customers is still a valid activation option. This human factor is still very prevalent and needs to come first. And yet we all sense that that B2B communication is somewhat broken, and emails are not really like doing their job any longer. Like spams, it's hard to connect with the customers using emails. So that's what I'm seeing in these results. Hope you're aligned there.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of this survey presentation. So please, if you have any questions, it's still time to ask in the chat. As a conclusion, we can confirm, compared to the last survey back in September 2023, that CS, customer success, is still gaining attention in all regions. So customer success has been gaining attention in 2023, and there is a high chance it's gonna keep gaining attention in the next year and probably the next years to come. We can see that small and mid-sized companies are catching up on large corporates in terms of processes, tooling, priorities as well. So there is a kind of alignment between small, mid-sized, and large corps on the market. CS teams are asked to implement tools and processes to scale customer success operations. That's another major trend in 2023. Top priorities are tools to scale. Again, scale is clearly a hot keyword for the current year. Customer self-education also is something that is a hot topic, and training and upskilling the customer success teams to help them probably elevate their activation and onboarding processes. That's another one that's been on the list for the last couple of months. Again, digital CS as part of customer success. So the digital activations are gaining traction as well. So the last poll results show that you're all looking for alternatives to email, to phone calls, and those alternatives are clearly digital. So webinars, academies, customer communities, firms, all those tools, all those digital activations are gaining traction in Americas, in Europe, and in Asia Pacific. So that's a trend that's been out there for the last couple of months as well. So probably we will hear of this trend again in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. I might actually take Tom's question. Thanks for jumping in, Tom. Essentially, what I'm hearing is that you're facing a challenge where customers are in demand for a lot of peer support, cross-industry, and best practice sharing across companies from different shapes and sizes, and yet they face different challenges. So how do you make both ends meet? I think the answer to this is organizing your online content in a meaningful way, making sure that you don't offer the same content to the same customers, that you have a proper segmentation in place, and that you're able to personalize to the extent possible the content, the training material, the peer support experiences that you can offer. So if you have a forum, it's probably a good idea to segment your forums in different channels, having one channel per industry, maybe one channel per size, and making sure that everyone finds relevant information and can talk to like-minded professionals. So that's probably the best way to do this, Tom. And Karen is also bringing up a challenge of hers. She's trying to distinguish CS as superior from the many other competitors' CS teams. Okay. what makes us, you're trying to articulate what makes your CS teams different. Maybe we can take that one offline. I think it's a pretty interesting one. Making sure you turn your customer success into a competitive edge. And I think if you're able to offer a good mix between tech touch, low touch, and high touch strategies to your customers, you would probably appeal to your entire customer base and turn your CS into a real competitive edge. But happy to take that question offline, Karen, if I haven't really hit the nail on the head on that one.
If you have any topics you would like us to investigate or deep dive in the next survey, please share those topics in the chat. We will add some questions to the survey and be happy to. I think we missed a couple of questions as well on LinkedIn. I can see Lee was asking if UK was considered as part of Europe.
Sure is.
It is, Lee, at least in our results. So yeah, UK is part of the European region. And someone is asking also how many respondents, how many people actually answered the survey. I think we were talking about 2,000 respondents to this survey globally.
Two thoughts we'd like to leave you on. First off, if you have additional questions, we just dropped a link in the chat that you can use to book a 15-minute slot in our agenda. It'll be Ben or myself like picking up the phone and having the chat. So more than happy to answer any open items, open topics that we haven't covered. Happy to explore opportunities offline. And we're also hosting 2 more sessions in the next few weeks. Soon we're going to open the 2024 new year. And so we'll be hosting a 30-minute presentation of our customer education platform Melting Spot on January the 16th at 5:30 p.m. CET, so Central Eastern Time. And we have an upcoming masterclass as well, focusing on onboarding journeys, which will take place on the 23rd of Jan. If you want to register to these sessions, simply exit the live room once this show is over and register to any of these upcoming events in the lives section of the platform. I think we've got everything covered. We ran behind a little bit. I think end of year wishes are in order. So wishing you all a wonderful Christmas and a happy festive season and a wonderful new year.
Enjoy and take care as well. And see you next year.
See you next year. Merry Christmas. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.